used to work with the military. So I wanted to know how that experience prepped you to be an author now.
Well, I can't say that it prepped me in any way, but it definitely adds flavor. It definitely adds flavor to my novels. So it was a wonderful time in my life, and I'm glad to have done it. But I wanted to be a romance novelist since I was 12. I wrote an essay about it at the time for class. It was an assignment.
Wow.
So really, I mean, I view the time between 12 years old to now as the pathway to publication, and all the things that I did in between are kind of, detours on that path.
But you definitely still ended up there, and in a major way, with Crossfire. And it's interesting to hear that you've always wanted to be a romance novelist since you were 12. But now that Crossfire is one of the biggest romance series ever, what is the first step that you actually took in starting that type of work? Like, how did the idea come about?
Well, I've been writing, erotic fiction since 2004. Actually, I started in 2003. I sold my first book in 2004. So it's been a 10-year journey so far, 20 novels later. But, because I was a romance reader, I loved reading romance novels. I particularly liked spicier romance novels. And then, as erotic fiction was taking off, really, that started long before I started writing. It was available. Those are the books that I gravitated to as a reader that I wanted to read. So of course, most writers write what they like to read. And so I started out that way. My first book I sold was to Kensington and for the Brava imprint, which was their highly sensual line. And then I just kept going. I've written historicals and paranormals and contemporaries and everything. Every book you write kind of builds your repertoire for the next book that you have in the series or the next book that you write. Period. And so Crossfire is really a culmination of 10 years of writing contemporary women's fiction.
And you said you have more than 20 novels under your belt. So, somewhere along the lines you have to cross the whole writer's block situation. How do you overcome that?
Well, first, you have to learn why you have it. And in my case, I've discovered that when I hit a writer's block, it's because I took a detour somewhere in the story that I shouldn't have. So I need to actually go back and read what's already been written and try to find the point where I kind of ran off the rails and pull the train back on and get the story back going. And then it'll start flowing again. So really, that's kind of my brain signaling to me, listen, you made a mistake back there and you need to go back and fix it.
And you said, too, that not only do you write these romance novels, you're a huge fan of them also, and that's how you get better, by reading what you aim to perfect. But I have to ask you, what did you think of the 50 Shades trilogy?
I think she was really brave, I mean, she tackled a pretty dark guy, and there are some things that we kind of expect as far as, you've got kind of the virginal heroine, but I mean, really, she tackled some issues that I don't think that, have been seen before, and that takes a lot of bravery.
And speaking of characters, your own Gideon, who we all have come to know and love and obsess over, there's been talk of you saying that you envision a certain actor as him if it would ever go to movies or series. Who is that actor, and why do you think he fits the role of Gideon so well?
Henry Cavill. And that's really, he's the new Superman. So when people are like, who's that? It's like, he's the new Superman. Now, really, when I write the series, when I'm writing the books, I don't have, in my head, Gideon is uniquely Gideon. He doesn't look like anybody else. But, the readers are, they love to send me pictures of their idea of who Gideon is, which I love. I love that we all have our own Gideon, our own idea of him. And he's the one that actually, I personally would say, out of all of the choices that have been offered, is the best fit. I mean, he's the right age. He's got the right looks, the right personality. And, those of us who watched The Tudors saw him both, very emotionally vulnerable and naked. So he really doesn't have a problem being undressed on camera, which is helpful.
Yeah, and the Crossfire series now has 3 novels that comprise it, but there's talk or rumors of you going on and establishing a 4th, but how do you kind of know when one of your characters' stories has or should come to an end?
Really, I'd say a lot of times that I get more credit probably than I deserve because I consider myself more of a narrator than a creator. I sit down to write the story and I may have a basic idea of where it's going, but once I start writing, the characters really take over and they write their own story and I just have to type really fast. When you talk about how do you know when something's going to be a series or how long it's going to be, it really depends on what it is that you're writing. I have my Renegade Angels series. That's a trilogy. And we knew when I started it that it was only going to be 3 books. I get to the end of the 3rd book, it's done. And that's the way that the storyline was worked out, when I started. And then we have series like my Marked series, which I envision that being an indefinite series. I really thought that, that series can go on without limit until I reach the end. I can't say that there's a finite point for it. With Bear 2, I came into it and I was like, it's going to be 2 books. It's going to be, the first book is going to be Ava and the second book is going to be Gideon, and then I'll be done. And then I realized, of course, when I got to the end of Bear 2, that was absolutely not possible because we're really just getting introduced to these people and the issues that they need to face and tackle. And then when we got into Reflected in You, halfway through Reflected in You, which was, last summer, I said, there's no way I'm going to finish this book, this series in 3 novels. It's absolutely not possible. And I picked up the phone at the time and I told my editor, I really can't see this ending, in 3 books. And she's like, okay, that's fine with us. So, it was never, there's no trilogy packaging or anything on the series because they knew it was mutable at the time that I was writing it. And, and at that time, I posted on my website and Facebook and Twitter, that this series at this time, I know it's going to be more than 3, but I don't know how many. And then, once I got through to the middle part of Entwined with You, and I sent the first half into my editor, and she read it within a couple hours and picked up the phone and called me, and she said, there's no way you're going to finish this series with, where we're at. And I said, I know that because really, when you look at the series, the first 2.5 books are dealing with all of Ava's issues. And, what about Gideon? Where do we really start to scratch the surface of him and making sure that he's whole and healthy to continue with the relationship? And if you have 2.5 books for one half of the couple, then it makes sense to have 2.5 books for the other, especially when Gideon is coming into a relationship, so much farther behind the curve than Ava is. Thanks to years of therapy for her and and Gideon's coping mechanism, which was just to pretend like nothing was wrong.
And definitely for our final question, because I know you have to move on to some more. You recently inked a 2-book deal with Cosmo to launch the Red Hot Reads ebook series. Tell me a little bit about that project and what it all is going to entail.
I was really excited. Harlequin picked up the phone and they called my agent and they said, listen, this is what we're doing and we really want Sylvia to do it. And, my agent brought it to me and I said, how groundbreaking, that we're doing this collaboration between a magazine and a publisher and myself. And, I've always wanted to try new things. I started doing ebooks back in 2005 before there was a Kindle and a Nook. And this just seems like a natural evolution of storytelling, a new way to get your story into the hands of readers. So, they came in there, they're like, the Crossfire series really kind of embodies what we're looking for here. We want the fun, fearless female that Cosmo is known for and the dark and dangerous hero that Harlequin is known for, and then add my personal flavor to it. And I said that what an amazing idea. So, we conceived of Afterburn and Aftershock, which is the story of one couple. We're following Gianna and Jackson, and these 2 people have been in a relationship before and it didn't work out, and now they're meeting across a boardroom table from each other and saying, if we're adversaries at work, can we also, try to pick up where we left off at home?
Awesome. Well, we are definitely looking forward to that, and congratulations on that deal. And we hope to hear from you or Gideon really soon.
Oh, thank you.